I never want to be a burden. What happens if you adopt that attitude? Well, you burn yourself out. Do you realize we need people? We weren't made to be self-sufficient, totally independent. And so what happens by not putting any of your needs on others, but putting all your needs on yourself, you add to your own burden and you end up burning yourself out. And then that can lead to depression. That can lead to a deep loneliness, feeling that nobody cares about my life. That can feed shame. Nobody cares about me. I'm not good enough. I'm failing. I'm a loser. And that can take people into just feeling, what's the point? And then it leads to a relapse. So people who are afraid to ask for help and want to try to do it all by themselves often set themselves up to fail. And that can lead to relapse for many. But more than that, one of the reasons we have needs is because it drives us to connect with people. And it's connection with people that is the core piece in being healthy. And so if I try to be independent and never connect with anybody, I can end up with major mental health issues due to that lack of connection. I can end up with physical health issues due to that lack of connection, due to the extra stress I put on myself. So it can lead to mental health. It can lead to physical health issues. It can lead to what somebody has said, the fear of burdening another person has prevented me from letting anyone close to my heart or even into my life. This and the fear of being viewed as a burden. It gets in the way of intimate, healthy relationships. So the consequences can be severe. So let me just kind of develop how important it is to understand we need people. Because so many people from complex trauma come into recovery determined, if I just get enough information, I can do this alone. If I just get enough tools, I can do this alone. But do you realize we can't do it alone? So understand a couple things. Every organization, every organism is built where we need others. So look at the human body. My nose can't say, I don't need the other parts of my body. My heart can't say, I don't need the other parts of my body. We are built as a body, as an organism, that we need all kinds of different parts to perform their functions. We need that if we're going to be healthy. You look at an organization, you need people with different skill sets who can bring different strengths to that organization if that is going to be a healthy, thriving organization. We're designed that we don't have all the skill sets. We need other skill sets. Take that further. In infancy, we have total dependence. As we move to adulthood, we move out of total dependence, but some people think adulthood should mean total independence, the opposite of total dependence. But what I want you to understand, the healthy design is the infant is totally dependent. Adulthood is healthy interdependence. So I'm not totally dependent, but I'm not totally independent. There's a healthy interdependence. Third, what I just shared about needs, if you think about it, why does a child, a baby, why are they totally dependent? Why do they have so many needs? Why aren't they born with the ability to feed themselves, to walk, to talk? Because needs drive us to connect. And connection is what leads to true happiness. And so needs are actually this ingenious thing that is designed to bring people together so that they can experience the fulfillment of their deepest longing, which is healthy connection, so they can experience joy. So needs are part of that. But then think of Western culture, Western society. We are becoming an increasingly fractured society where we are all about trying to be self-sufficient, where there is not healthy interdependence and connection. And so, because of divorce, rampant, there's fracturing. Because of the ease of travel, you don't have the same family and extended family living in the same community anymore. You have people living all over the world from the same family who don't connect more than once a year or once every few years. Used to be that children were raised in a village, they would say. It takes a village to raise a child. But now everybody's off doing their own things. Families are spread all over, and children are being raised just by the primary caregiver. There's not that village and extended family anymore to help in the raising of the child. So all those things go together to create this mindset of, I got to be strong. I got to do this myself. I can't rely on others because our society is so fractured and families are all over and I'm not close to anybody. And it sets us up to become very unhealthy. So let's move to the healing stuff, the change. So what I don't want you to hear is I need to go out now and tell everybody my needs. I want to start with a caution. You should only tell people about your needs if they are safe people. Because if you tell an unsafe person about your needs, it could be disastrous. It could reinforce all of the things that you heard growing up that made you feel like a burden. So let me say this. A narcissist, if you were to tell them your needs, at first, they would be so caring, so giving. They would be there to help you over and over until it wasn't fun for them anymore. And then they would change on you, and then they would start to accuse you of being selfish. And it would be disastrous for you. Or you could tell another unsafe person your needs, and what that for them means is, I will help you, but you now owe me. And you're now in my debt. And you don't want that. Or you could tell an unsafe person your needs, and what they're hearing is, you want me to meet your needs, but now I am going to try and run your life for you. I will be my self-appointed mentor of you and teacher of you, and I will now meddle in your life. So be very careful that you don't choose unsafe people to tell your needs to. But then understand this. You will go to safe people, and for the most part, they will meet your need. And that'll be kind of a new experience for you. But some safe people, at times, are going to have to say to you, sorry, I can't meet your need today. And you're going to feel all your old stuff triggered. Nobody cares about me. See, I'm a burden to everybody. And it's going to make you want to run and shut down and never ask anybody again. So understand this. When somebody says no or sets a boundary, that's going to trigger your limbic brain. But get out of that into your cortex and go, okay, did they say no because I'm a burden or because they just have too much on their plate right now? Process through it so that you don't go down the old ways in your mind and in your behaviors. Be aware of a tendency you might have in yourself. Some people, they're afraid to ask people for help. They're afraid to express their needs because they're afraid people will say no. So what they do is they create a crisis. And everybody comes running. And then they go, see, I didn't need to tell anybody my needs. I just need to create a crisis. And all of a sudden, they're little drama producers, chaos producers, crisis producers. Here's what happens. People come running for a while, but then they catch on to what you're doing, and they stop coming. And then you begin to go, okay, that's not working anymore, but I'm still afraid to ask for help. And now if I ask for help, there's going to be a greater probability that they're going to say, sorry, We got to set a boundary with you because you've caused so much drama in our life. We're not going to go there. And so you could create what you're trying to avoid. Now let me just switch to, let's say somebody comes to you and asks for help. There's a couple things you need to be aware of. So the first thing is, think of it from the perspective of parenting. If my 1-year-old asks me to help feed them soup, I do it because they're not yet capable of feeding themselves, of meeting that need. If my 20-year-old asks me to feed them their soup, I go, no, there's something wrong here. So what I'm doing with that 1-year-old is, yes, I'm meeting that need for them, but I'm also teaching them the tools so that they learn how to feed themselves, so they eventually can feed themselves and not need me for that need anymore. And so what you understand as a parent is, child has many needs, but you teach them tools so that they can meet more and more needs on their own, but you help them also recognize there's still going to be some needs, even as an adult, they'll need others for help. So as I work with people, I want to ask, where are they at in their growth? Are they still kind of infant when it comes to their toolbox and their abilities? Or do they have the tools to feed themselves? So that leads to a question. If I help somebody who's still at an infant and doesn't have the tools, they need my help. That's a good thing to do. But if I help somebody who has tools but is just not wanting to use them or is lazy, I would not be loving by doing it for them. I would be enabling them to not grow up, to remain stuck where they're at in their immaturity. So when people come and ask me for help, I need to be able to ask, where are they at? Can they do it for themselves? Do they have the tools? If not, then I will help them. If they do, I shouldn't help them, but kind of pressure them to use the tools that they have. The next thing that I ask is, as I've gotten to know this person, do they implement tools as they learn them? Or do they just acquire tools as academic knowledge but never implement them? And some people do that. And they're afraid to try and implement them because they're afraid they won't do it perfectly the first time. They're afraid they're going to fail. So they like learning about tools, they're just afraid to implement them. If I see that, then I know I would not be doing a favor to them by doing it for them. I need to resist doing it for them and pressure them to do it themselves. Another thing that I ask sometimes when people come and ask for help with their needs is, okay, this need that they have, is it because they're just lazy? Is it because they keep procrastinating on all their responsibilities? So if I help them, am I going to be reinforcing laziness, procrastination? Those are things I have to consider as well. Another thing that often happens is people have such a great fear of making the wrong decision that they come to me and they want me to help them think through decisions. And I do that. Here's the pros, here's the cons. And that's an important part for them, learning how to think and learning how to weigh out different options. And I don't mind doing that. But some will keep coming to me whenever they have any decision that they need to make, and I begin to realize they want me to make their decision for them. Because they're afraid that if they make the decision, they might make a mistake. But if I make it, there's a greater chance they won't make a mistake. And I go, they're dependent on me to do their thinking for them. That's not healthy. And I need to be aware of that. Some people, they come to me wanting help, and I give them help, and then they just heap me with praise. They validate me over and over. And I begin to realize with some, they came to me for help, but what they're doing now is more than just appreciation. It's not even appreciation. They're now playing me. They're now trying to pad my ego, build me up so that they can manipulate me, so that I'll like them, so that I'll look up to them. And that's not healthy either. So there's a bunch of different things that are important for you to be aware of when people come and ask for help. Okay, so let's wrap up. How do we grow in this area? So again, it's being aware that I need to approach safe people. But then, when you have a need, and you're aware that you have a need, assess, okay, what is my responsibility when it comes to meeting this need? And you might find out I'm 100% responsible to feed myself. I can't go and ask others to feed me. You know what? I need to be a parent to my children. And I'm a single mom. And I'm 90%. I got to be there consistently for my kids, but I need a break sometimes. I need people to help me. So I can't 100% meet that need without burning out. So I need to begin to look for people who could meet that need. And that's where it gets tricky, because some people, they just run back to their biological family and say, can you take care of the kids today? But their biological family is very unhealthy, and they get hurt every time, and the children are getting unhealthy stuff passed on to them. But they don't take the time to build new relationships. They're afraid to ask people outside the family for help. And so they keep running back to their own family, and they keep getting hurt. And so you have to be prepared to move out of your comfort zone, to move out of what's easy to do and do some hard things and ask people for help when everything in you is afraid to do that. You have to go through fear, you have to go through discomfort, and you have to move out of your comfort zone. But then retrain your conscience so that what you've had before is asking others for help, you feel guilty. Now you have to go, it's all right to ask people for help. So I ask people for help, but I'm still going to feel guilty. But that's my limbic brain. That's the old stuff. I can push past that. And the more you push past that and you keep asking for help in healthy ways, your conscience gets retrained and it doesn't bother you anymore. Now let me give you just this thing to think about. For a child in complex trauma, expressing a need and asking for help usually resulted in being told you're selfish, you were humiliated, you were shamed. And so part of what was going on there, dynamics-wise, is not just was your need not met, but you went through the emotional pain of humiliation. Here's what I want you to understand. Now, to express a need means you have to humble yourself. And that's scary for a person from complex trauma, because I have to be vulnerable. I have to admit I have a need. I have to go to somebody. Humbling myself makes me afraid they're going to humiliate me. But understand this. When you humble yourself and go to your safe person, they will never humiliate you. Your humility will not result in humiliation, but only if you have safe people. So there's two very important pieces here in getting our needs met. Both parties become involved. I need humility, but I need safe people. And when you put the two together, then you get your needs met in a healthy way. And then continue to deal with the shame that came out of feeling like a burden, feeling like you weren't good enough. And again, we see over and over again that this shame piece is such a huge part of our healing journey. Continue to work on that. It is all part of the process.